I would like to take a moment to say thank you to the Laffy Taffy people for making Laffy Taffy jelly beans. Like seriously, banana jelly beans? What could be better? Also look, it's still light outside and I'm home from work. That hasn't happened in months. What are we talking about again? Hi everyone. Recently I've gotten many questions about product ideas, where to get product ideas, how you don't run out of product ideas, and let me just tell you something. One thing I don't think I will ever do is run out of ideas for products or content. I am on the other end of the spectrum where I have so many ideas that I can't even begin to tell you which ones I need to work on first. Like I will never be able to finish all the ones that I want to do because I have so many. And by the end of this video, you will too. So if you want to make sure you never run out of products and that the product ideas you have actually like sell your products and move well, then stick around because that is what we're talking about today. So if we haven't met, hey, I'm Becca. I am an elementary music teacher who sells on Teachers Pay Teachers, and I have documented the whole journey here on YouTube so you can see like literally from the beginning until now and share everything I can with you about all the things Teachers Pay Teachers. So if you want more Teachers Pay Teachers help, definitely click the button down below to subscribe and hit the little bell for notifications, and let's hop right on in. All right, so we're gonna talk all about ways that you can come up with product ideas, and by the end of this, you're gonna have a ton of ideas. So first off, I want you to grab a piece of paper and something to write with, or if you're all fancy and newfangled, then I guess you can get like a Google Doc, but y'all know how I love my notebooks. But grab a notebook, grab a pen so that you have places to write so that you will know exactly what you're going to do as soon as this video is over. And yeah, so we have 3 main tactics for how we are going to come up with ideas for what products that you can do. Each one has kind of like subcategories, so there's a lot of stuff in there. And then at the end, we're going to talk about just a couple of things that you should bear in mind and just keep in mind as you are creating your products and coming up with new ideas and all of those good things to make sure your products are going to sell, because that is the goal. I don't want you to waste your time on products that are not gonna sell. Unfortunately, you probably will, but we're gonna try our best to not let that happen. So number 1 is I want you to start with your best sellers. Now, obviously this only works if you have been selling on Teachers Pay Teachers, and if you haven't, stick around. I got something for you too, just hold your horses. But we're gonna start here. So I want you to start with your best selling resources, specifically the top 10 from the last month. So you can go to Teachers Pay Teachers. You can actually sort your store from most popular. So you can see the top resource up there will be your most popular resource that has sold the most over the years and all of that. However, especially right now, because I'm filming this in 2021 and we've had this huge shift in education and just all the hot mess. Y'all, I was online for like almost a full year, and we just got kids in the building last week, and now we're teaching online and in person at the same time, and then other days we're teaching all online. Like, it's crazy town. So things are different than they used to be. So if you've been selling for more than a couple of years, I would suggest that you look here on your TPT dashboard in the app. You can click right here on last sale, and it will tell you your trending sales for the last 30 days. There we go. So it'll show you your top sales for the last 30 days, and you can go through and see what has been the most popular in the last 30 days. And so this updates really, like literally every day, which is really good because it shows you a really good valuable data about what is good right now, what is selling right now. Now, sometimes you do have to take this with a grain of salt because things like holidays can really mess you up. If you're watching this right after Christmas and you have a lot of Christmas resources, like that's obviously going to be a problem because it's going to be a lot of Christmas resources. We just finished Black History Month, so almost every one of my top ones at the moment are jazz and spirituals and stuff like that. But it's still giving me really valuable data, even though we do have those seasonal things thrown in. So what I want you to do is I want you to just take out your notebook paper and write down your top 10 most popular from the last 30 days. So for me, that is What a Wonderful World, Jazz Lesson on Google Slides, Jazz Bundle, Favorite Spirituals, Ella Fitzgerald Google Slides Lessons, my Ireland virtual field trip. That's exciting because I just posted that like 2 days ago, and it's number 5 with 51 units sold in 2 days. That's exciting. And then Jazz on a Saturday Night, John Williams presentation, waltz activities, jazz Google slide lesson, and stick figure movement posters. And then number 11, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, is a virtual field trip. It's Harlan virtual field trip. Now, the reason I'm telling you all of these things is because it gives you really, really, really valuable data about what is working right now. You bear in mind, some of this does have, you know, getting that seasonal, and then some of it is promotional. Like I've been really promoting the jazz resources all of February. And this week I switched to promoting my Irish virtual field trip because I just posted it and I really wanted it to take off and stuff like that. So do be aware of that. It's still giving you good data about what's working. But my point is, write all of those down, and then I want you to see if there's any commonalities. So for example, most of those for me were Google Slides lessons. So clearly Google Slides lessons are working really well in my shop. That does not mean Google Slides lessons are working well in your shop. So this is why I really wanted you to start here, is what's working in your store right now. Google Slides lessons are working really well for me. And the other thing is, all of these are very like throw it up and go. They're not things that need a lot of extra effort or anything like that. And even the printable ones that are on here are like print and you're done, which I guess is how like most of my stuff is, but still. So those are really important things. Now, after you have those, I want you to next to that, so have like one, what a wonderful world. And then next to that, I want you to write something that you could do that is similar to that product. Now you can have similar products in 3 different ways. Number 1 is that you could do something in the same format. So for example, my number 1 is a What a Wonderful World jazz slides. So if your matching games are doing well, make more matching games. If your sub plans are doing well, make more sub plans. If your, you know, like, I don't even know. If your centers activities, that's a joke, are doing well, make more of those. If your virtual field trips are doing well, make more of those. Whatever is that same kind of style, do that. Number 2 is the same format. So for me, that would be like the Google Slides are rocking it. Many of these are in that like virtual field trip kind of situation, and a lot of them are presentations, which I think is really weird because I didn't think those would do as well. Maybe that's just because we're distance learning. I don't know. We shall see. But same style, same format. Number 3 is you could do the same subject but something different. So maybe I do What a Wonderful World printable activities that can go along with the song, and they can be even quite similar, but they're different. Or maybe I pick a different composer and I do printable activities, or I do a game based off of all of these jazz lessons, or something along those lines. Those things can all really help because they are similar. So write down your 10 and then write something similar next to them. It could be any of those 3 different ways of being similar, but just make it some kind of similar somehow. And as you're doing this, I really want you to think about product lines. I talk a lot about product lines and how they make such a difference in my store and your store too. Product lines are basically just a group of products that can go together. So either they are the same type of product but different subjects, or the same subject but different type of products. Like I have a virtual field trip product line and they're all different, but they're all the same format, they're the same style, they're the same kind of thing, they're just different subjects. Those are product lines. The reason this is important is because your top sales are telling you what is working. So if you do more of that, then it should make you have more sales. The other thing is that then you can create a bundle, and research has shown that the best way to make more money is to increase the value of each transaction. So if I can make $5 from a virtual field trip, or I can make $20 from my virtual field trip bundle, that's gonna get me to my goals a heck of a lot faster. Even if it's not quite that dramatic, but even if you just have, you know, like a couple dollars more because you added a couple more resources in, or have something similar people can purchase, it makes a difference. Think about how like Walmart and Target have all of those candy bars and sodas and super random things up at the front. The reason they do that is because they're trying to increase your transaction value. So instead of spending $60 on your groceries, they want you to spend $61 and get a candy bar. And if you're like, Becca, that's like $1, it's not a big deal. It might not be a big deal for like $1, but think about how many people grab a candy bar on their way out, or how many people are shopping with their husband and grab 2 candy bars on the way out, and different things like that. Like it makes a huge difference when you think about the volume. If you could increase every one of your sales by $1 or $2, you're gonna make more money overall. So as you're doing this, I want you to think what could be turned into a product line and what could be bundled together to help increase that transaction value. I even have some products that I did not intend to go together that are kind of in that like number 11 to number 20 range that are selling pretty pretty well. They're not my top sellers, but they're selling pretty well. And they could be linked together through a similar subject, even though I didn't plan for them to be linked together. So I'm going to make a bundle like this month so that I can put them together, because I've already noticed people purchasing like 2 or 3 at a time. So if I get them to purchase them all at a time, then that's going to increase my transaction value. It's going to increase my overall revenue. Now, after you have all of those written down, I want you to pick maybe 3 to 5 that you could focus on this month. Now, don't get overwhelmed by how many products are down on your list. And if you happen to think of more than one activity that could go along with one of the resources you're already creating, that's great. Don't stress about that. Like, that's good. Now, if you don't have any products, then I would suggest that honestly, you just start posting things. If you don't have enough products to get some actual data from this, then my suggestion would be to frankly just start posting things. But specifically really think through, what are your favorite things to use in class? What do your kids love? What are those things that like you just know are going to work? And start with those things. I also would caution you not to go the product line route until you have decided that something's gonna work. So this is something I always talk about, product lines, but I haven't mentioned this, and I realized that the other day and I was like, oh crud, we should discuss this. So you need to validate your product. So don't just go and make like 20 new products in a brand new line you've never tried before, because they may not sell. So instead, make one and see if it sells and make sure that it's going to work. So if you are brand new, my suggestion would be make a bunch of products, make them in the same niche, so like all 4th grade math or all guided reading, but I would not suggest making a ton of them until you know for sure that it's going to sell. So you now have at least 10 different product ideas. The next thing I want to discuss is seasonal products. Seasonal products can be really great to help boost a certain time of year, especially if you've noticed one time of year is maybe not as profitable as others. See if there's a season you can take advantage of. What I want you to do is go through and write down all the months of the year, and then write down a holiday or a theme that is around that month. So that could be holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, Lunar New Year, Dia de los Muertos. You could do, I mean, literally any holiday. Think about the different holidays that happen in those months. The other thing is, what are like the monthly themes? So we're in March. March is Women's History Month. So if you could maybe do something that plays off of that, that could be good. Write down for each month what like season or holiday goes along with that, and then at least one idea that you could do along with those. So if you're looking at March, Women's History is in March, so you could do a guided reading based on, I don't know anything about guided reading. That was a terrible decision, but you could do a reading lesson about a famous woman in history. Or you could go with St. Patrick's Day and you could do something that has to do with Ireland. Or you could go with spring and do it just like springtime activities. When you're looking at making something seasonal, I would suggest that you again look at those best sellers and see what could be seasonal that is already selling. So maybe if you have writing prompts that are doing well, see if you can do seasonal writing prompts, if you can do springtime writing prompts, if you can do fall writing prompts, and just all of those things. See if you can just differentiate them for the different seasons, but you know they're gonna work because they're already selling. Also focus on things that are easy to change. Obviously it would not be easy for me to make my What a Wonderful World resource Christmas, because that's not a thing, but other things like my matching games are really easily changed out for the seasons. The other thing is, if you have a seasonal resource that is doing well, see if you can take that and put it for a different season, or if you can make it non-seasonal. So just make it like, kind of not plain in like a boring way, but plain in like it's not for any specific holiday or time of year. Seasonal resources can really help boost your sales at certain times of year, but do bear in mind, again, they're only gonna sell during that season. So also de-seasoning, that's not a word, making things not seasonal could be a good way to help increase your profits all year round, especially if you have something that sells really, really, really well. All right, the last strategy is to simply ask people. So there's lots of ways that you can ask. First off, if you have an audience, go ahead and ask them. If you have an email list, if you have Instagram, if you have Twitter, whatever, just put out there and say, hey, what kind of resources are you looking for? I would stay away from words like products and maybe say like resources, or what are some lessons, or what are things that you wish you had a lesson for, things like that, instead of like products, because you don't want to be like, what should I make that you can buy from me? But you just kind of want to get some data overall. If you don't have an audience, or it's small, or you just still want to see what other people think, a great place to look is Facebook groups. Now, do be aware, because Facebook groups can be overwhelming is the word I'm gonna say, but you can go into a Facebook group and see, first of all, what they're asking for, because they might be like, hey, what are some good lessons for fractions? Hey, what are some good lessons for this? Hey, what are some good lessons for that? And so that gives you really good data about what to make products about. The other thing is that you can go in and ask. Now, again, I wouldn't be like, hey, what can I make for you to purchase? But just go in and say like, hey, what are some things that you struggle with teaching? Or what are some things you wish you had a better resource for? What are some lessons that you find difficult? Those kind of questions can really help you get to valuable information without being salesy, especially in Facebook groups, because a lot of them have very strict rules. So do be aware of that. While we're on the subject of Facebook groups, we do have a Facebook group for this YouTube channel. It's called Becca's TBT Tips. I will leave the link to it down below, and definitely go head on over there and introduce yourself, because I'm always excited to meet more people. We talk all things TBT. So head over there, leave your questions, ask some questions, answer some questions, whatever you want to do. Talk to other teachers. So if you have teachers who are in your grade level or at your school, ask them what they would use, or what they would like to see, or what their struggles are. Just really pay attention to those pain points. For example, I have a friend, Ashlyn, and she actually, I convinced her to open a TBT shop, and she has been creating lessons to go with their sight words. And she's been creating lessons to go with their phonics, and she's been going like, I mean, she's been doing it every single week of the year. So she has like all of the sight words and all these different activities to go along with it, because she didn't have good digital sight word activities. And this really helps them to break it down into, I don't really know anything about teaching sight words, but they look super cool, and the kids have a blast with them. And so those are the kind of things that you want to see. So like, what are holes in your curriculum that you need to fill? If you're like me and you're the only teacher of your type in the building, then maybe call up your friends at other schools, ask them. If you don't have any friends at other schools, I don't really know what to tell you, because I know all the teachers in my district, but I guess I'm in a big district, so I don't know. Find someone and then go back to the Facebook group. I don't know, something like that, so that you can ask people what they need. All right, so those are the 3 main strategies. Hopefully you were writing things down as we went. You should have tons of ideas by now. And I always say, the more you create, the more ideas you will get. I came up with a really good idea today while I was in the middle of making a different product, which is, again, usually when I come up with my best ideas. Probably because I'm getting sick of the one I'm working on and I want to work on something else. But you know, it's okay. I did not start working on it. I was like, I will do that when I'm finished with this one. But I'm very excited to start working on that one, because it just seems like so much fun. Now we're going to get into a couple of different things to just kind of bear in mind as you're doing this, to help make sure that they are going to sell. First of all, again, make sure you're validating your products, which means you're not wasting your time spending, you know, hours and hours making tons and tons of resources that aren't going to do well. Do like, make one, see how it does, and then do more. I would also say sometimes you can validate things just from your students. I have some lessons that are like rock star, and other lessons where it's like, this lady's never taught before in her life. And so, you know, I definitely want to keep on that like rock star status. Things that went really well with my kids are things that I assume will go really well with other people's kids as well. Number 2 is think, has this been done before? There are a lot of products on TBT that are very similar. Admittedly, I have some products on TBT that are very similar to other ones, not on purpose. I actually like intentionally don't follow that many people in my niche, because I want to make sure I am not copying anybody. However, it's still like, we all teach the same subject, so we all use the same, you know, I'm a music teacher, so we all use the same songs, and we all, you know, do stuff like that and do a lot of similar activities. So it just happens that sometimes we have the same things. So one thing I want you to think is, has this been done before? Because if there is 10 pages of fraction worksheets, you probably don't want to do fraction worksheets, but there might be a different angle that you could come in. So if you're thinking about something that is more popular like that, then maybe go and look at a few of them and see what is missing from what is currently available on Teachers Pay Teachers. So how could you change it? That's the third question. How can you change what is currently being done? So one of my favorite songs to use is the song called Mouse Mousey. It's great for introducing dough. I use it with 2nd grade. Like, it's so much fun. It's super cute. However, everyone uses Mouse Mousey to introduce dough. So why that's relevant is because when I wanted to do it, I looked onto Teachers Pay Teachers and I was like, oh, look at these like 50 other products that are all Mouse Mousey presentations. So instead of making a Mouse Mousey presentation, I didn't do that. And instead, I created a virtual field trip to the forest where we were working on piano and forte, and it was all bear and mice themed. So I had bear songs and we had mice songs, and that was a way that I could do what I wanted to do, but come at it from a different angle. Coming at it from a different angle helps it to be a lot more profitable and works a lot better. Number 4 question is one that my friend Alex from Terrific Selling Tactics says, and that is, could the teacher just do it themselves? She was referring to the quality of your resource and really making sure that you're like using clip art and making things pretty and just all of those things. But as you're making something or thinking about making something, really think like, is this something that they could just do themselves? Because if the teacher could just do it themselves, like, why would they bother paying you to do it? Think about things that are more creative, more outside of the box, which I know sounds like a lot of pressure, but I promise it's not. And just try to think about, you know, skip over the things that seem simple and try for things that are a little more fun. And number 5 is it worth it? I put this question at the end because I see a lot of like 1-page resources, and y'all, and I have even people will send me messages and they're like, how should I price a 1-page resource? And I'm like, you shouldn't, because you shouldn't have a 1-page resource. 1-page resources are not worth your time. They're not. Even if they're a freebie, I'm still kind of like, is that worth it? You know, you still have to put a lot of effort into it. You still have to market it. You still have to post it. You still have to write descriptions. You still have to add all the different things. And you can't sell a 1-page resource for very much money. And by the time TPT takes its cut, you get hit with that by that 15 or 30 cents because the transaction is less than $3. Like, you're just not getting anything really, and so it's just plain not worth it. So as you're doing this, do think like, is this going to be worth it for me to invest my time in creating? And that might just mean that instead of having 1 page, you do like maybe 5 pages that are all the same concept, but they're just different ones, so teachers can use them on different days. But you know, do something to make sure that it's worth your time. All right, friends, those are a couple of places you can get your product ideas and things to keep in mind to make sure that your products are actually going to sell. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button. Like helps, I just hit myself in the face. Like helps other people to find it, and subscribe helps you to find the next video. And again, I post all videos about Teachers Pay Teachers, so definitely click the link below. And yeah, and I will see you next week. Bye.